Hello, everybody. This is Sting X2. So I wanted to do something a little bit different than what I usually do on, say, Twitch. I wanted to do a series of videos covering kind of my platinum journey, my trophy hunting experience, I guess you could say. And I think giving a little background in this video will be the key to making the rest of it kind of make sense. I used to be a pretty bad gamer, but I like games my whole life. And in about 1978, I decided to make a Angelfire website, and I was going to track how many games I was going to beat on the Game Boy. In fact, my beaten game doc that I have, I keep locally, is still called GB Beat List, aka I was beating Game Boy games and I made a list. So this evolved, I believe by the year 2000, 2001, to tracking everything that I was beating. And I was, at that time, I ended up getting into more, at the time, modern stuff like GameCube. But I really wanted to play all the games that I didn't get to experience or didn't get to beat in the NES, Game Boy kind of era, and via emulation, I really was able to do that finally. So I ended up spending a lot of the mid-2000s playing a lot of those systems. And if you ever wonder why, if you're coming from Twitch, why I never did a Super Nintendo challenge or an NES challenge and went for PlayStation while everyone was doing that, that's kind of why. I've played a lot of those games, if not to completion, at least a good chunk of them. And while I do like a lot of them, it really, the mystery of the PlayStation for me, as something that I only got to dabble in briefly due to cost, was something that I wanted to explore. So that's kind of the history of the Sony experience on Twitch. But what happened in 2006, 2007 is I was starting to get a little bit out of games because I really wasn't in the modern game stuff. My most modern system at that point was the Nintendo DS, and while I did really like the system, and there were some great RPGs and great games I played on there, I kind of lost my spark for console gaming. I think I was only playing some occasional football games, and that was it. But then it was. I remember I was in community college, and there was a guy who got an Xbox, and he was telling us, an Xbox 360, and he was telling us about Oblivion, and I think eventually somebody was telling me about Mass Effect, and I remember that my friend Azure Mar got his 360, and he was telling me about all the achievements and stuff, and I was like, achievements? What do you mean? And that's when I really started to look into it, and I started to become kind of obsessed with achievements, because I realized, wow, it's all this stuff that I always wanted to do, which is have replayability for the games I've always wanted to play, and have these kind of challenges that are not too crazy. In some cases they are, and experience them. And I fell in love with achievements. I ended up getting a 360 that December, right before Christmas. And it was a good deal, and I never looked back. And I was into achievements. I was way into achievements, playing trash games. I put aside my love for RPGs for a few years. I was, points. I think I got 48,000 the first year. I was at 120,000 by the second year. I wasn't like one of the greatest of all time, but I was just in love with achievements, and I got way too deep and way too unfocused. And when the Kinect stuff started coming in, that was the first signs things were cracking. I was more involved with stuff in real life. I was just trying to juggle way too much, and I definitely felt the burnout. I think the burnout for me really started in 2013. There was a lot going on for me, and the games had been basically from, I would say, 2000. The games for me just hadn't been there that I was interested in. Stuff like Assassin's Creed, which I was in love with. I completely just fell too far behind, and by the time I caught up to Assassin's Creed 3, I didn't want to play that. I did not like it at all. There was games that I was hoping would be good that just didn't really pan out, and I really was not feeling achievements so much anymore. I didn't want to go for all these easy, dumb points. And this is before an era we'll talk about in the main videos, where, trophy hunting, achievement hunting is going sideways. Now, Sony, I did have a PlayStation 3. I didn't really play too much on it, but I got it for some exclusives. Never really put too much time into it. We'll go over that as well. But yeah, I kind of fell off. I was finding myself just by I think 2013 it was kind of rough. 2014 it was getting to a point where I was looking at, I feel like way more invested. Late 2013, I think I was more invested in my Vita at that point. I was really getting into PlayStation trophies and the experience on there. I was just loving the Vita, and I think you get to January, late 2014, I started to go through Lost Odyssey on 360, and that led me to finishing Eternal Sonata on there. And then after that, I went to play Ni no Kuni, and then I went to play Tales of Xillia, and I started to transfer over to PlayStation, and then I also about 2014, to get this timeline a little bit correct, I was involved with Retro Achievements, and Retro Achievements is something I'm still involved with today, and I was getting more involved with that and more involved with working with Twitch streamers related to their issues with Retro Achievements where stuff didn't work, and helping them with manual unlock requests. And it really led me to a path of streaming on Twitch, because what happened is I ended up in a weird accident, broke my ankle, and was stuck watching E3 in bed. And then after E3 was over, I was still stuck in bed, and I was looking for something to watch. I ended up looking and found a streamer, Retro Bladen, and he was doing a challenge where he was beating all these old games, but I didn't understand it at first, what was going on. He had like a number 96 Super Mario Kart, and I was like, what's happening here? Is he beating games on stream and cataloging them? And then I found out what it was, and I fell in love myself with that, and that's actually what that challenge really helped me get back into, not just achievement hunting and trophy hunting, but it really helped me get back into really gaming. It kept me focused. Just as recording this video, I finished over 500 games on stream on Twitch when I was slowing down to trickle amounts. It's been a great experience. And while I did leave Xbox behind, and I would have, there was other reasons too. A big reason I left Xbox behind is because they wouldn't let you turn off the vibration on controllers unless you bought an Elite controller, which they didn't introduce until like a year into it. And then they finally removed that feature back in 2017, 18. So like, I would have it like having gone like probably 4 or 5 years without upgrading to the next gen system really would have turned me away, especially as the Xbox 360s are such fragile pieces of crap. I mean, they really are. I went through probably like 4 of them during my tenure with the system. So yeah, I've been on PlayStation since, and I've really enjoyed that experience. And I kind of wanted to share some stories about some of the games that I've finished, because some of them don't have platinum, some of them are just 100% runs, and that's the point of this channel. It may not appeal to many people, it may not appeal to anyone, but I wanted to have some kind of recording of experience out there that existed, so it lives on, I guess is the best way to say it. And maybe someday we'll look at the Xbox stuff and just have a laugh. But yeah, enjoy the channel, and maybe you'll enjoy these little stories. Have a good one.